There's a certain kind of woman who enters a room and instantly changes the atmosphere. She doesn't need to raise her voice. She doesn't need to wear diamonds from head to toe. But somehow, people notice her. They sense a calm energy, a quiet confidence, a grace that feels effortless. Some call it elegance, others call it class. But here's the truth. Being classy isn't something you're born with. It's not about having a wealthy background or living a glamorous life. Being classy is a choice. And more than that, it's a series of small, intentional habits you build day by day. You don't need a stylist. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. What you do need is awareness. Awareness of how you move, how you speak, how you care for yourself and others. And no matter your age, your shape, your story, this kind of elegance is available to you. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. And if you've ever looked in the mirror and wondered how to carry yourself with more grace, if you've ever felt invisible or overlooked and longed to feel more radiant again, or if you simply want to feel proud of the woman you are today, then this video is for you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the habits and mindset shifts that define a truly elegant, timeless woman. And I promise, they're not what you think. Some of these might surprise you. Others might gently nudge you to return to parts of yourself you've forgotten, but all of them will help you unlock the version of you that has always been there. She's just been waiting for permission to shine. So if you're ready, let's begin. You don't need a designer wardrobe to look elegant, but you do need to be well-groomed. It's the simplest form of self-respect. And yet, it's often the first thing we forget when life gets busy, especially as we get older. But grooming isn't about being glamorous every single day. It's not about makeup, high heels, or salon appointments. It's about care. It's about intention. It's about sending a message, not to the world, but to yourself, that you matter, that your body deserves attention, that you're still here and still beautiful. When a woman is clean, neat, and polished, something changes in her energy. She stands taller. She speaks with more calm. She moves through the world with quiet certainty. People notice. But more importantly, you notice. So what does well-groomed really mean? It means your hair is freshly washed and gently styled, even if it's just a soft ponytail or a brushed-out bob. It means your nails are clean and trimmed, whether they're painted or bare. It means your skin looks nourished and cared for, not flawless, just healthy. It means your clothes are clean and smell good. It means your breath is fresh when you smile and say hello. Little things, but they make a big difference. And here's the truth. This level of care doesn't take hours. It takes minutes, but it has a lasting effect on how you feel in your own skin. Because elegance isn't something you put on. It's something you build from the inside out. And daily grooming is the foundation. Even if you're just heading to the grocery store, even if it's just a quick walk around the block, even if nobody is going to see you, you will see you. And that's who it's for. Elegance begins the moment you start treating yourself as someone worthy of time, attention, and love. Not someday, not when there's a special event, but today, every day. And when that becomes your normal, you'll begin to carry yourself differently, with pride, with softness, with elegance. Now that your outer care is aligned, let's move one step deeper into how your clothing choices speak before you ever say a word. Before you speak a single word, your outfit has already said something on your behalf. That's the quiet power of intentional dressing. And it has nothing to do with following trends or being fashionable. It's about choosing clothes that tell the world, I respect myself. Even more than that, it's about feeling good when you pass your own reflection. Because what you wear should never feel like a costume. It should feel like you, just a little more polished, a little more powerful. But let's be honest, as we get older, our bodies change. Our preferences shift. The styles that once made us feel confident might not work the same way anymore. And that's okay. Elegance isn't about holding on to your 20s. It's about evolving with grace. So what does it mean to dress with intention? It means you choose fabrics that feel soft, breathable, and high quality. Silk, cotton, cashmere. These materials aren't just beautiful. They're comfortable, kind to your skin, and they move with you. It means your clothes are clean, steamed, and in good condition. No fading, no pilling, no loose threads or misshapen necklines. It means you pay attention to balance. If you wear a sleeveless top, you might pair it with wide-leg pants or a longer skirt. If you wear a fitted skirt, maybe you soften it with a looser blouse. This kind of balance creates visual harmony. It whispers class. It shows that you're aware of your presence without trying too hard. And one more thing, modesty isn't about hiding yourself. It's about revealing your strength in subtle, beautiful ways. Elegance doesn't scream. It speaks in a calm, confident tone. Even small details matter, making sure your bra straps don't peek out. Wearing a slip under a sheer dress, using a little fashion tape to secure a wrap blouse. These little efforts show care, not just for appearance, but for presentation. And when you treat yourself like someone worth presenting well, others begin to respond differently too. They see a woman who is thoughtful, a woman who doesn't need to impress anyone because she's already impressed with herself. A woman who understands that elegance is not about money or status, it's about how she shows up. Now that you've dressed with intention, let's talk about what happens when life throws you off balance, because true class reveals itself most clearly under pressure. Anyone can seem elegant when things are going well, but the real test of class is how you behave when they're not. We've all been there. The rude cashier, the driver who cuts you off, the neighbor who speaks out of line. In those moments, your heart beats faster, your temperature rises, and everything in you wants to snap back. But here's the truth. Grace begins with a pause. That single breath before you speak can change everything. It gives you time to choose your response instead of being ruled by your reaction. Elegant women don't yell to prove a point. They don't argue just to win. And they never let someone else's poor behavior dictate their own. Because reacting emotionally, even when you're right, can cost you something valuable. Your peace, your dignity, your power. Being classy isn't about pretending to be unaffected. It's about staying grounded in who you are, even when the world around you is spinning. You can be firm without being loud. You can be direct without being cruel. You can stand your ground and still walk away with your head held high. One of the most powerful things you can do in conflict is to remain calm. Because calmness commands attention. It unsettles people who expect anger. And it sends a message. I am in control of me. This doesn't mean you have to accept poor treatment. It means you choose how you respond. With clarity, with self-respect, and with an awareness that your energy is yours to protect. Even small moments like how you handle a mistake at the coffee shop or how you respond when someone cuts in line are opportunities to practice this kind of quiet power. Try this next time you feel irritated. Assume good intent. Maybe they're having a terrible day. Maybe they just didn't see you. Or maybe, just maybe, it's not about you at all. That shift in mindset can melt your frustration and leave you feeling proud of how you handled it. Because a woman who stays calm under pressure is unforgettable. She doesn't need to raise her voice to be heard. She doesn't need to demand respect. She commands it, simply by being composed. And in that stillness, in that grace, she becomes magnetic. Now let's take this inner strength one step further and explore the elegant art of knowing what to share and what to keep sacred. There's a quiet kind of strength in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. In a world that encourages us to share everything, true elegance often lies in discretion. A classy woman doesn't overshare. She doesn't broadcast every detail of her personal life. She chooses her words carefully, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Because not everything needs to be public. Not every emotion needs to be explained. And not every problem needs an audience. You see, privacy isn't secrecy. It's protection. It's the art of holding space for your life without placing it on display. This doesn't mean you can't be vulnerable. It doesn't mean you have to carry your burdens alone. But there's a difference between sharing with someone you trust and telling everyone just to be heard. Sometimes we share things too quickly, especially in the moment when emotions are high. We vent about a disagreement with our partner. We reveal financial struggles or family tension in casual conversation. And afterward, we're left feeling exposed or misunderstood. An elegant woman knows how to pause. She reflects before she speaks. She chooses her confidants with care. And she protects the sacred parts of her life, not because she's hiding, but because she values peace. Even with friends, she's thoughtful about what she brings into the conversation, not to be mysterious, but to maintain harmony. Because here's what happens when you share everything. People begin to define you by your struggles. They form opinions based on half the story, and sometimes they repeat your words in places they were never meant to go. So instead of explaining every detail, she learns to say, "I'm working through something right now," or simply, "I'd rather not talk about it." That's not cold, that's not distant, that's grace with boundaries. It leaves room for healing, it invites trust, and it tells others, "I know who I am, and I choose peace over drama." Even in marriage, discretion matters. Disagreements are natural, but they don't all belong in group chats or dinner tables. Because people often remember what your partner did wrong, but not how the story ended. By choosing what to share and when to share it, you preserve your dignity. You protect your relationships, and you hold space for yourself to grow, without judgment, without noise. There's power in quiet. There's beauty in restraint, and there's elegance in knowing your truth, without always needing to prove it. Next, let's explore how that same awareness transforms the way we speak, not just about ourselves, but about others. There's something instantly noticeable about a woman who doesn't gossip. She listens more than she speaks. She chooses her words with care. And when she talks, her presence feels safe. In a world full of noise, she becomes a breath of fresh air. Gossip might feel harmless in the moment. A passing comment here, a little story there. But over time, it chips away at your character and at the trust others place in you. Because here's the truth. If you're willing to speak about someone behind their back, people wonder what you'll say when they're not around. Even when you're not trying to hurt anyone, gossip creates a ripple. It lowers the energy of the room. It encourages judgment over empathy, and it quietly teaches others that you can't be trusted with tender things. A classy woman knows this. She protects her words like she protects her home. She builds conversations rather than tearing others down. And when she hears gossip, she doesn't have to confront it dramatically. She simply shifts the conversation. She might say, "I don't know the full story, so I can't really judge." Or, "Let's talk about something that actually uplifts us." These subtle responses change the tone without shaming anyone. They show strength, not superiority. The same goes for constant complaining. We all have hard days. We all need to vent sometimes. But making negativity a habit, especially in everyday conversations, can drain the room of light. Elegant women are not blind to problems. They just choose not to let problems dominate the mood. Instead, they offer gentle redirection. When someone says, "I hate my job," they might reply, "That sounds tough. Is there something you're looking forward to this weekend?" It's not fake. It's not forced positivity. It's intention. It's the choice to leave people feeling better, not bitter. And that's what makes you unforgettable in conversation. Because people may forget your outfit. They may forget your clever lines. But they won't forget how you made them feel. When you speak with thoughtfulness, when you listen without judgment, when you uplift rather than criticize, your words become a reflection of your soul. And in a world where so many speak without thinking, a woman who speaks with care shines even brighter. Next, let's talk about a different kind of care, one that reveals itself when no one's watching: the power of self-restraint. One of the most underrated signs of elegance is self-restraint. Not because it makes you seem rigid, but because it shows that you're in command of yourself. You see, elegance isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It earns respect by how it carries itself, especially when no one is watching. And nothing reveals your level of self-control quite like how you handle indulgence. This can show up in many areas: how much you eat, how quickly you speak, how often you interrupt. But perhaps the clearest example is how you behave when you drink. Now, there's nothing wrong with enjoying a glass of wine, a cocktail shared with friends, or even a celebratory toast. But the difference between classy and careless often comes down to one question: do you stay in control, or do you let the moment carry you away? An elegant woman knows her limits. She doesn't need to drink quickly or excessively to feel confident. She sips slowly. She chooses drinks that feel graceful and fitting for the setting. And most importantly, she watches how she feels. Because once your words begin to slur, your laughter gets too loud, or your energy becomes messy, the elegance fades. Not because you're a bad person, but because you've stepped outside of your center. True elegance lives in that calm, steady center. Even in moments of fun, she remains aware. She wipes lipstick from her wine glass. She checks that her smile hasn't turned into a red stain, and she knows when enough is enough. This same restraint carries over into other parts of life too. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't over-explain. She knows when to pause, when to wait, and when to walk away. And make no mistake, this kind of discipline is not about being boring or overly serious. It's about staying grounded in who you are. It's about honoring your presence. Because here's something important. When you stay in control, you don't just protect your image. You protect your peace. You avoid regret. You create space to enjoy the moment fully without ever losing yourself in it. There is something incredibly powerful about a woman who can enjoy life without letting it overtake her. She doesn't need to prove anything. She knows that moderation isn't a limitation, it's a mark of wisdom. And in that wisdom, she becomes magnetic. Now that we've explored how a classy woman carries herself privately, let's open the lens a bit wider and look at how she treats others, especially those who have nothing to offer her in return. There's a quiet glow around women who treat others with warmth, not because they're trying to impress, not because they're looking for praise, but because kindness is simply part of who they are. An elegant woman doesn't measure people by their job title, income, or appearance. She treats the waiter with the same respect as the CEO. She smiles at the janitor. She tips generously, not to show off, but because she's grateful. Gratitude is her foundation. And generosity flows naturally from it. But generosity isn't just about money, it's about energy. It's about how she makes people feel. She offers compliments freely, without jealousy or competition. If another woman looks beautiful, she says it. If someone does something kind, she notices, because she isn't threatened by the success or beauty of others. She knows that someone else's light doesn't dim her own. And in fact, the more she lifts others, the more she shines. This is why elegant women never carry mean girl energy. They don't gossip to feel superior. They don't belittle others to gain power. They don't use sarcasm as a shield for cruelty, because they know that elegance without kindness is empty. True class doesn't come from expensive clothes or perfect manners. It comes from how you treat people when there's nothing to gain, even when no one's watching, even when no one will ever know. It shows up in the way she speaks to a tired cashier, in how she holds the door open for someone moving slowly, in how she gives others her full attention without looking at her phone every 5 seconds. And here's the beauty of it. This kind of kindness is contagious. When you lead with warmth, You give others permission to do the same. You raise the energy in the room. You soften sharp edges. You make people feel safe. And when people feel safe with you, they remember you. Not for what you wore, not for what you said, but for how you made them feel seen, heard, and appreciated. That is the essence of a truly classy woman. She brings light, not noise. She uplifts, not competes, and her presence lingers long after she's gone. Now let's explore the final piece of this puzzle, the quiet confidence that anchors everything she does. True confidence doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't shout. It doesn't interrupt. It doesn't enter a room needing to prove anything, because the woman who is truly confident already knows her worth. She doesn't need to list her accomplishments. She lets her actions speak. She lets her energy do the talking. You'll notice it in the way she walks, upright but unhurried, in how she listens more than she speaks, in the way she gives compliments, because she's not afraid of someone else shining. Confidence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being so grounded in who you are, you don't need to be the center of attention. And that's what separates confidence from arrogance. An arrogant woman needs constant validation. She boasts, she brags, she interrupts, corrects, and dismisses because deep down she doesn't feel secure. But a classy, confident woman knows the difference between sharing and showing off. She can say, "I'm proud of this," without saying, "I'm better than you." She celebrates others with the same joy she gives herself. Because someone else's success isn't a threat. It's simply proof that we all rise in different ways. This kind of quiet confidence is magnetic. People feel it, even when you say very little. It shows up in your posture, in your eye contact, in your kindness. Because here's the secret. True confidence is soft. It's not aggressive. It's not flashy. It's calm. It's warm. It invites others in instead of pushing them away. And when you embody that, people take notice. They respect you more. They feel safe around you. They feel inspired, not intimidated. So how do you build that kind of confidence? You stop seeking permission. You stop explaining yourself to those who misunderstand you. You stop comparing your path to someone else's. And you start walking in your truth, step by step, breath by breath. You trust your voice. You own your choices. You wear your story with pride, because when you know who you are, you no longer need to prove anything. You simply be. And that is the most elegant thing of all. Now that we've uncovered the 8 quiet habits that define a classy woman, let's take a final moment to reflect on what it really means to live with grace and how you can begin bringing more of it into your everyday life. So now that we've walked through each of these quiet, intentional habits, you might be wondering, where do I begin? How do I step into this kind of elegance when I've spent so many years focused on everyone else? Family, work, survival, the day-to-day responsibilities that often leave little room for softness. But the truth is, elegance isn't about adding more to your life. It's about choosing less, more intentionally, less noise, less chaos, less pressure to perform, and more presence. More care, more honesty with yourself about what makes you feel truly beautiful. Elegance isn't a performance. It's not something you turn on when you leave the house. It's a quiet rhythm that runs through how you live. It's brushing your hair with care, even if you're not going anywhere. It's choosing clothing that feels good on your skin, not just looks good in a photo. It's holding your tongue when you could gossip and speaking with kindness instead. It's walking away from drama, knowing that peace is worth more than being right. It's honoring your boundaries, protecting your privacy, and never allowing someone else's energy to pull you out of your own. And most of all, it's remembering that you don't need to chase approval. You don't need louder clothes. You don't need to force your personality to fit in. You don't need to prove your value to anyone who can't already see it. Because when you start walking with quiet confidence, when you begin speaking with thoughtfulness, when you soften without losing your strength, You begin to radiate something that no brand, no product, no praise can ever give you. You radiate self-respect. And here's the best part. It's never too late to become this woman. She's not someone else. She's already inside you. Waiting, watching, hoping you'll make a little more space for her each day. Start small. Take one of these habits and make it yours. Practice it, not to be perfect, but to be present. And let that presence grow. Because grace is not about trying harder. It's about letting go of everything that isn't really you. And choosing, moment by moment, to return to what is. So whether you're 45 or 75, whether you're rediscovering yourself after a long chapter, or stepping into a brand new one, know this: elegance is not out of reach. It's not a costume or a title. It's a way of moving through the world with love. Love for yourself, love for the people around you, and love for the beauty in the quiet, overlooked corners of everyday life. If this video spoke to you, I'd love to hear in the comments, which habit resonated with you most, and which one will you begin practicing today? And if you'd like more gentle guidance like this, don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more we can explore together. Until next time, walk gently, speak kindly, and wear your grace like a second skin.